We discussed, I'm trying to remember the federal legislative presentation. Can you fill us in on that?
Yes. PSTA has a government affairs group. Their name is Van Skoyak, and they have in Washington, D.C., looking out for funding opportunities for us. And we got a presentation by one of their lead people for us. His name is Harry Glenn, and he lives in Pinellas County, but he works out of Washington, D.C. all the time. And he updated the board on the Tiger, or on the low-no electric bus grant application that we're hopefully going to get. And the Tiger grant application, and just sort of generally what's going on in Washington, D.C., which usually, it's a broken record that nothing ever happens in Washington, D.C., but they actually passed a transportation bill last December, shocking the entire transportation world. They did one thing. Now, whether they follow that up with any action on anything else, who knows, but
that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And then we had a presentation from Mark Ash covering the customer satisfaction survey that we had. Who presented that last month? I know that.
The company that
somebody here.
Yeah, we presented it at your meeting.
Yeah. So just more expansive on that, and just so you guys are aware, you're always welcome to come to the board meetings. The board meetings are actually very interesting. Dave and Gloria both came to the last one because we did a press conference right after discussing the customer satisfaction survey results. And it's really kind of interesting, don't you think? Yeah, it's interesting to see, and it's always fun to see how the feedback that we provide here gets incorporated into the presentation. The staff is very good about taking your feedback, our feedback, and incorporating it, and really trying to address that in their presentations when they take it to the board. So, great job on behalf of the staff, and certainly something, if you can't get to it, is worth taking your time to at least skim through it. It is videotaped and online on the PSTA website anytime you want to see what's happening. So, always a fun thing to sit and watch late at night when you're anyway. So, all right. Then we'll move on to the action items. The February 16th meeting minutes. Did everyone have a chance to review those? Do we have any additions or edits to those? Okay. Can I have a motion to pass those minutes? Robin. A second from Elizabeth. And all in favor? Say aye. Those opposed? Awesome. Okay, our first information item today is a presentation, the Central Avenue BRT project schedule by Cassandra. There she is. Nice. And assistant? Is that what
you want to get that?
Who's sneaking up behind you?
So this is a project that is a top priority of the agency, and I know that we've presented some things before to you all, but this project is moving forward, and it's moving forward at a great pace. I'm actually going to have Bonnie Epstein from our planning department give this presentation today, and then I'll be back to answer any questions that you have. So really be nice to her because
yeah, because we're usually mean.
Yeah. But it is her first time presenting this project. But the reason that I wanted her to present this project is because I wanted to show you all more of the planning staff, because there is so much work that is happening at the planning department. We'll get into that as a later item on your agenda. But this is going to take everyone in the agency to make this project successful. Getting from downtown St. Petersburg to the beaches is our highest ridership corridor in the entire system. And we are going to take the agency to the next level, build things like bus rapid transit within our system. We need to start someplace that is absolutely going to be successful. And so that is why we're starting here. This is part of a bigger program, but it is our first entree into real bus rapid transit for the region. I'm excited about that. Turn it over to Mom.
All right. So Central Avenue BRT. So PSTA has been looking at premium transit and bus rapid transit projects for a long time, and the community bus plan has recommended 6 different BRT projects. The Central Avenue BRT project has been in discussion for many, many years, and we chose to start with, as Cassandra had mentioned, because the Central Avenue corridor is the highest ridership corridor in the region and really has the best opportunity for success. So the main purpose of the Central Avenue BRT project is to provide PST riders with quick and direct service between downtown St. Petersburg and the beaches. So the Central Avenue BRT will connect these 2 major activity centers to give tourists, workers, general PST riders rapid, frequent, all-day service between downtown and the beach. So our project schedule, our overall projected schedule for the BRT shows that the project development phase will take approximately 18 months, and we'll finish that phase up in the summer of 2017. And after this project development phase, we'll be requesting federal funding for the 2019 fiscal year to start construction. And so then construction will begin in the fall of 2019, and we'll have anticipated start of revenue service at the end of 2020. So we're already moving forward with this project, and we've already had a number of key accomplishments. Our next step with the project is to request entry into the project development phase, and we'll be doing that within the next week or so. So we have already selected consultants for this project through our general services contract, and we're also working with many local and regional agencies involved in transportation and land use planning. For example, FDOT has already committed $500,000 of funding to the project development costs. So, in addition to working with our transportation and land use partners as part of the study management team, it's really important that we engage the broader community and make sure that public engagement is strong throughout the entire project. So we'll be establishing working groups that consist of business and community leaders, neighborhood associations, and general stakeholders, so that we can engage them on the details and decision making throughout this whole project. We'll also be reaching out to the broader community so that they can participate in the project, get information, ask questions, and really give us their ideas and comments. So the Central Avenue BRT project is organized into 3 major tasks. So just to give you an idea of when we will be bringing different sections of the project to you for discussion. And at this time, I can take any questions.
I'm going to turn it back over to the chair, but before I do, would you just give her a round of applause for
Anyone have questions? Dick?
How is it that they're all going to run together, right? We have the trolley, I presume you still have buses, plus have BRT. It seems to be a high, I understand it's a high volume corridor, but what's the balance? Or is
You're
that part
really
of the plan?
you're really serving 2 different markets.
Understand.
So the bus rapid transit project would have limited stops. You're trying to get very quickly from downtown to the beach. It's reducing your travel, greatly reducing your travel time. Your stops in between still need that local service. So you still have the Central Avenue trolley layered over this BRT project. Understanding that the BRT project is scheduled to run on the First Avenue, so First Avenue North and First Avenue South. So it won't be on the same actual alignment. It'll be the entire, what you would consider that corridor, that travel corridor between downtown and the beach.
And we're banking then on the customer to sort of self-select. I know I want BRT to go to this corner, that. Excellent. Okay. Perfect.
And you can get off in between and say, I want a quick trip into Grand Central, and then I'm going to hop on the trolley and stop somewhere,
Perfect. I
Before
not
it came down
understood
to-
that. That makes it very clear to me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the alternative is going to be one of the ending points for the beaches, and you're just not sure which one that'll come as the public input comes?
Right, we need to select what that terminus is on the beach. So what is the right one from a community consensus point of view? So we'll be working through the technical work, but working with the beach communities, working with businesses to say, what do we want as a community? One of the things the federal government asks you for during a project like this is the locally preferred alternative. And as we start to bring this project back to you, you'll start to hear that phrase. And that is something that means something very specific to the federal government. So when we submit our project for funding through the Federal Transit Administration, we'll be telling them, this is our locally preferred alternative. Meaning we have worked as a community to identify this as the project.
Vivian?
Yeah, is there going to basically be just one alternative? It'll either be Madeira, Treasure Island, or St. Pete? So, okay.
David?
When you said construction begins, what is construction? Is it shelters, bus stops?
Well, we're really fortunate. When you look at BRT projects across the nation, they do have varying costs. Ours is a lot less expensive and will be a lot less construction intensive because the city of St. Petersburg has said that they would work with us to have a lane on First Avenue North and First Avenue South as long as we could maintain the terms. So that is one of those issues that we'll be looking at over the next 18 months to ensure that that continues to be the case. So the construction itself would, in that section, might be restriping, identification of the lane, and some new station stops. So a design of a branded station there and across the beaches.
And purchase of buses, is that something like what you showed on the slide, a mega bus, or are they going to be smaller in scale?
We're going to look at a number of things through the process. So we'll look at articulated vehicles. We'll look at different vehicle technologies within the context of the board discussion of vehicle technology tonight, and make sure that they fit together. So in addition to that, we'll look at the ridership, what are the volumes we're expecting, and what warrants an articulated vehicle.
Yep. Are they going to, let's put it this way, encourage the individual communities to get into a bidding war to, as the two of them don't, are not part of the taxing base. In other words, neither, Madeira Beach, neither Treasure Island or St. Pete Beach are giving money through the ad valorem taxes. I know they give us, St. Pete Beach gives us some money, but they're not in the ad valorem base.
Those are local issues that we'll have to work through. I know it is an issue at the board, it's been brought up several times by board members. And yes, we do have contracted service with Treasure Island and with St. Pete Beach because they do not have that ad valorem piece on their local tax bill.
I don't mean to call it a bidding war, but you understand.
Well, we have to make sure that we're talking to all the communities in the corridor, that they're all an equal part of the decision making, and then say what is the right thing for our community. There's going to be a good technical answer, and then there is going to be what does the community want, and we're going to have to balance those two, and there's going to be some trade-offs for sure.
If we determine that we need particular kinds of buses or different kinds of buses to fulfill this than we currently have, what is the lead time on ordering those buses and also getting drivers trained up and ready to use them?
Well, I don't think that the driver training is not an issue.
Okay, so it'd be
Yes,
essentially the same.
Ordering the buses would be the same time frame as the buses that we currently have, which is about a year.
Okay.
I don't really see that being something that changes.
I was just curious where that fit in the timeline that she had mentioned.
Well, we would submit to the federal government a request to be in the fiscal year 19 budget. We would do that in the summer of 2017.
Okay.
So that's the amount of lead time. You need about a year lead time to get into the next fiscal year budget cycle. And so when we received our grant agreement in fiscal year 19, we would then be able to order vehicles while we're doing the construction of the capital part of the project.
CW?
What about this project makes it rapid? The fact that St. Peter's said that they're willing to let you build a corridor, and then if you could maintain the turn, how about Pasadena? Are they on board too?
We have reached out to Pasadena. They know that we already run service on Pasadena Avenue. What makes it faster is that limited stop. It allows the bus to gain speeds and keep it at accelerated speed. It's also the corridor that it's in and allows for accelerated speeds. So that in and of itself will make this corridor run faster. We are talking to the city about transit signal priority to see if we can gain a little extra speed that way. But all of these things will be put together in order to make it a faster run.
So how fast would, say, Means Park took energy to Safety Beach?
Like how many minutes?
Yeah.
Do you have a view of how many minutes it was?
I remember it was about 20%.
20% reduction.
Reduction.
Yeah.
So what is it now?
20% faster than 45 minutes.
David?
When you talk about making special lanes on First Avenue South and North, would that be at the cost of current transit lanes or at the cost of current on-street parking for the residents who live on those streets? Well, I mean, obviously, the street is only so wide, so where do those lanes come from?
The travel lanes. So it's a three-lane section. We go down to 2 travel lanes. The traffic in that corridor would still be free flowing, so it would not impact the traffic.
Would it be an exclusive lane for the bus? So, I'm sure you're
With
already.
the exception of turns, so a lot of communities do this, so we'll have the discussion, like, let's say it's on the right side, you have a bus only lane, but you are still allowed to go into that lane to make a right turn. So you cannot travel in that lane, so it'll be an enforcement issue.
I'm sure you're already preparing for some community backlash and resident backlash for
So
the
that's why we have
drivers.
to have such a robust public engagement, yes. Make sure that, one, everybody knows about it, and everybody sees the benefits, but also that people have input into what the project elements.
Or would it, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
would that take the bike lanes out?
We don't see it taking it.
Anyone else? Ladies, thank you.
We'll be back with more details as the project progresses, so you'll have plenty of other shots of this project. Thanks.
Shots at it? All right, next, and we have, as I was telling the folks to my right, a presentation I've been asking for a while. I'm so excited to see it. It looks like Jeff is perhaps going to introduce it. Is this our lucky day? We are moving on to a day in the life of a bus operator.
Thank you.
Yay! Bus operator.
Mr. Chairman, appreciate being here this afternoon. It's my honor and pleasure to present to you a day in life of the bus operator. I've got 3 distinguished bus operators here today to answer some questions, but just a little background before I bring them up. First of all, some facts about all of our bus operators and the volume of things that they do for us. We employ over 370 bus operators. We have a combined total of about 9 million miles annually, 45,000 trips daily on 40 bus routes, and 5,000 bus stops. Okay? Just to give you a little background. When they start with PSTA, they go through a 8-week training course, which teaches them everything from how to greet the customer, how to obtain the CDL, how to drive the bus safely, how to tighten on a wheelchair properly, all the aspects of driving the bus. And we've certainly have a lot of laws that come down the pipe once in a while from Washington and from DOT that we have to comply with, and these are all molded into the training classes that goes on. And of course, the important thing is the safe operating of the bus, and before they go into revenue service, they already have 8 weeks of bus operator experience under their belt. A day in the life of a bus operator typically begins at the dispatch window in the morning, okay? They sign in. This is a picture of Mr. John Dixon at our dispatch window. Now, he starts in the afternoon. He pulls a bus off the property, and he checks in at the window, and then he perhaps says hi to some of the fellow operators that are in the bus operators lounge, which we've got your few photos of there. And then he continues his day by going out to the bus yard to do a pre-trip inspection on the bus. Now, this is something that every bus operator does before they get behind the wheel. They start up that motor and go around the bus and check for defects and make sure that bus is safe to go out on the street. You'll see that's the pre-trip card that he uses there. He's checking the wheelchair straps and the radio, looking at the seats, making sure everything's okay, checking the fare box, destination sign, and adjusting the mirrors and making sure that the bus is clean to take it out to his standards. Our bus operators do a lot of things, but what we're really proud of is the fact that they love their customers. And you know that because one example of that is Dave Beck, who retired earlier this year after 40 years of service with PSTA. And he went back out on the bus after he had retired just to ride the bus and to be with his customers. He loved them so much. So, and we just wanted to recognize him for all those hard years and miles of service that he put into the community. Ira Roberts here, one of our bus operators, was involved in the Great American Teach-In. So there are occasions where the bus operators go out to the community and promote bus driving, promote the bus system, and tell people about it and answer questions much like they are going to today. We participate in special events. Our Vance Wagner Driver of the Year happened to be fortunate enough to be in a movie that you see there at the bottom of the screen. It was Sunlight Jr., starring Naomi Watts and a couple other, Matt Dillon and a couple other stars there. So we're involved in a lot of different things, and of course, we'd like to recognize our drivers for their great accomplishments. That's Mr.
It's not you?
That's not you?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
That is you. No, you're not the driver.
No, not the driver.
But you'll notice Mr. Johnson there, and of course, our CEO, Mr. Miller, with our driver of the year, Faisal Mansour, who's the current one. I'd like to, without further ado, ask Juanita Johnson to come up, and she's going to give you a little background into her career.
Hello, everybody.
Good
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Juanita Johnson, and I've been here at PSTA for about 19 years. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, which I reside now in Tampa, Florida. So I commute every day for 19 years over here, and I enjoy my job. It's just a pleasure to be driving the big wheels. And you have to have the patience of Job to drive this bus and put up with different types of people, but you have to have that kind of character that you can, I just feel like you can just drive through anything. And every day I make my debut just being courteous, patient, to make sure that you have a successful, safe commute from point A to point B. And that makes my day. That makes my day. So it's a big responsibility in being a bus operator. It's not an easy job, but it's a rewarding one.
Juanita, where do you drive? What have you been doing for the last 15 years?
For the last 15 years, I have been just driving one route, and that's they call me Miss 4, the Route 4. And I just love the Route 4. I love my passengers. We know each other. They know me. I know them. I know when they don't feel good. They know when I don't feel good. And we just get along wonderfully. And
how much longer are you planning on driving your bus?
I'll think another couple of years. I think I got another good couple of years left.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate it. I'd like to also, just so you know how this is going to go at the end, I'll have them all up here and you can ask questions, okay? But I'd like John Dixon to come up now and give a few words about a day in his life and what he does for PSTA. This is Johnny Dixon.
I take it that all of you are riders, mostly riders. All right, great. I'm John Dixon. I'm one of the bus operators. I normally work on the evening shift around 19. I started working here since '06. I was former driver of the year 2012. In conjunction with that, I came here as a served 23 and a half years of the Army in different capacities: operations, military police, section chief. So many hats that I wore in the military. Different units I was in, on staff on every unit. We went through a lot of deactivations in my unit. So. But unfortunately, every unit I was a part, I ended up on that staff for whatever reason it was. And as being operations, I had to learn a lot. I had the opportunity to work with a lot of customers. After I finished up in the military, I started working at Tampa General Hospital as a customer relations coordinator in the trauma level 1 ER, to include the surgical services department, which I was the only customer relations person they had. A lot of work with customers, interaction, families, physicians, just customers. We all are customers. Professional people, neurosurgeons, plastic surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, you name it. So that was a great experience. I completed my tenure there, so then I decided to come to PSTA. And before I came to PSTA, I was the head security of Nova University. And as I was walking around, brainstorming, I'm not quite old enough yet to see I'm dying. So as I was in that computer room, and I opened up one lab, it was like 14, 15 computers here, and for the ladies that was working on their doctors, PhDs, and stuff like that. I was the one that always get it prepared for them. So I'm still interacting with customers, okay, providing services for them. So I jumped on that computer one day and I pulled up and I said, PSTA, that's how I ended up here. I went online and I saw PSTA had some bus operators, and I had some experience with driving bus back when I was out in Wisconsin. I was a platoon sergeant, and we had a dude. I was in a medical unit at this time. I don't want to take too much time, but I'm just going to give you a brief scenario before I get into some other things, okay? I can get long-winded once I go to more, but he's going to stop me. So when I was out in Wisconsin, and I was in this medical unit, and the ladies in the medical unit, you have a lot of nurses, doctors, lieutenant colonels, majors, captains, a lot of brass. So I was the section chief of PAD, which was patient admin. And so when the ladies got off of duty, they wanted to go to the malls, which was 47 miles away from post. My platoon, nobody can get anybody to volunteer to go take the bus driver license. So I didn't force them. I went and took the bus driver license course to make an example to them. And then didn't use it until those ladies wanted to go shopping. So I said, somebody got to take them to the mall. I want to go to the mall. So I would go to the motor pool and I would sign out the bus from in Wisconsin, and I'd come back with the bus, and there was one girl that drove school buses. So we sat down and we made our schedule, and we made a few trips on their off-duty time. Now, you have to give the soldiers, you have to give people downtime when they're under strenuous conditions. You have to. You have to do that. That way they are going to perform better. So anyway, I end up here, and as a result, I've been here since '06. I interact with a lot of customers, a lot of friendly customers, a lot of angry customers, a lot of confused customers. But what customers don't understand is that we have regulations, and our first priority most of the time is safety first. Whether we're late, which we do be quite a bit, but we're dealing with traffic, we're dealing with interactions, unforeseen things that occur. And I'm going to leave it open for some questions. I know I'm getting a little long-winded, my time probably running out, but I just want to go through these scenarios with you all. If you all are riders, you see what we interact with on a daily basis. And not all the time that it's always the most friendliest part of our day at times. Depends on what we have to go through it to serve you. And our ultimate goal is to serve. But we are a person before we are any professional. So we have the same inner feelings as the riders that we, travel back and forth. We're not going to be on time for everybody. We know that. We try to do the best we can based on the conditions that we're under. We have regulations that we have to abide by. We have safety issues like you see the bus checks and the pre-trips. Even when we switch out in the field, we're relieving that other driver. These things still has to be done to protect you, because there's things that may not be, that driver may have had a really, really challenging 8 hours.
Mr. Nixon, we want to leave it open up for some questions too for you.
All right.
So I want folks to start thinking some questions for
Okay,
Johnny.
that was my clue to shut up, y'all. I'll be back.
Last bus operator, Donnell Wilson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Donnell Wilson. I've been in PSTA 14 years now, and I'm glad to be here. And I've been married. Been married now, I believe, 32 years, if not 33. You say men can't only keep up with that like the ladies could. But I been operating, driving buses for about 14 years. And I also been on the extra board about 10 years, if not 11 years. Extra board meaning that, I'm just flexible. Any time of the day, any time of the night. Just flip-flop, do that. And that's what an extra board operator does. And like I heard one of my coworkers say, that is, we have tasks out there, but I learned from me, I had to know who I am, so I can learn to know who anybody is. And so I learned along the way that, we do need patience with one another. And as I traveled and kept going, my patience built. Sometimes we don't get it all at one time, because, sometimes some people be in a hurry. Somebody want to snap it, but we like, no, we got to wait on this and that. So we wait on them until they exit the bus and until they get on the bus. But, I love to drive. I love people. I love meeting people. I love to smile if you see my smile up there. I love to smile. I love to drive. And I love my boss there too.
Want to come back up for a second? We'll take some questions. Donnell, stay up here. Okay. Okay. Chairman Elaine, I'll turn it over to you, and you'll call for the questions. Go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
What's the funniest thing that ever happened to you?
Funniest thing ever happened to me?
Briefly, John.
Yes.
It was the funniest thing that ever happened to you. You drive most of it.
While he's thinking, let me answer. I had one similar situation occur just recently. I wasn't smiling because I had a challenging day. And I came up to the terminal. This young lady gets on the bus, and she says, a man down the street, around the corner, down the alley behind the bin, said I can ride free. I listened to her. I said, what is that man's name? She said, his name is Jesus. I said, I know him. Come on.
open-ended question. Now, last week, for example, I think the bus that I was waiting on was 310. Okay. That bus didn't come. All right. And the next bus came at the time 3:45. So I got to this meeting last month about this time. How does that happen, where a bus schedule does not come, and then the next bus comes? Is that bus the 310, or it's like did the 310 just disappear off of the schedule, and it's a 3:45 bus? How does that happen?
I can answer that, but I'll allow one of them to. I can answer that.
Go ahead, Soda.
One reason that 310 bus didn't show up, it could have been because that it was so far behind schedule until they called operator on CSR dispatch, and they'll have that bus deadhead, without service and deadhead to get on time. Lesson, sometime that might have been an accident, and they hold that bus and let that 14 pick up all the passengers and continue on. And then again, you got, like I said, you got accidents happening.
And so the 310, if it's running so far behind, they call it dispatch, or dispatch says, well, it's like you
Go out of
forget
service,
it,
yes,
and
get them
like,
caught up on
yeah,
time.
okay.
Yes, sir.
And so that's the next bus.
Yeah, to the next one, the 14.
Because the 310 is just
then
going back to the station or going back to the route.
Get on time, yes, sir.
Let me piggyback on just a little what he said. That does happen occasionally, all the time. What type of time was it that this occurred, around 3, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, because I was trying to get to this meeting last month.
So that's your business time of the evening. A lot of time, that operator cannot call until they see that other bus in their rear or within the mirror. See, and that way, if that bus driver see that other bus in his or her mirror, well, automatically, we know to go ahead and call and get authorizations to see how the dispatcher is going to work that out to try and get this bus on time. Because apparently that bus wasn't on time. It was behind for whatever reason it may have been. Traffic, detour, police. Sometimes we get rerouted by the authorities. Things happen suddenly. So,
If you got 2 more questions, Elon, about other time.
just ask them.
I was wondering if most drivers have the same route all the time, or do you change?
Well, a lot of times they're extra board operators, but like myself, I just keep one route all the time. But a lot of times
Julie, we have 55 operators that bounce around. Okay, they're on the extra board. We have 320 that have a regular piece of work every week.
Okay.
And they do that. So they have a regular calendar. For example, Juanita does the Route 4, Johnny does the Route 19. But this man here, you'll see him all over the place because he fills in and bounces around, does different routes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Dave?
I was curious about language. I know sometimes I come on and ask for directions, am I on the right bus? But I know in Pinellas we've got folks that speak all kinds of language. We have folks that are Russian. We now have some Arab immigrants. Do you run into that kind of stuff where someone comes in with very bad English or maybe no English? What do you do? I so appreciate the work you do. Do you have a story or something like that?
I think we all probably have some stories.
well, sometimes, I would ask if the passenger speaks Spanish or whatever. Ask the dispatch speak to the customer so they can relate with them. There we go.
It's good to get a common term like mall. Okay, you're on the right bus. Something like that.
A lot of time in situations like that, you really never know how you're going to address it sometimes, because being honest to you, based on your question, if I'm running late, 15, 20 minutes late, which is a lot, and I have a bus full, standing room only, I have people that are anxious to pick their child up, get to the grocery store, and because the first of the month we transport quite even more people with more issues, I may not have the time to try try and de-scramble, but we do get those. We get the ones that have speech impaired, hearing impaired, and their expectations is that you're supposed to know where I'm going, but I can't figure out what you're saying, so it gets challenging.
Yes, ma'am.
Can somebody run down just very quickly what a typical day is like as far as how long you're in the seat, when you get a break, how you take your lunch, how that works? Because I just picture you guys being glued to that seat for 8 straight hours. It seems like sometimes I get out in the morning and I've got the same driver that's there 8 hours later, and I think, good grief, we're in that seat the whole time. So can somebody address that?
Okay, well, most of the time, we can get to our time points a little early. We get a chance to go to the bathroom or get a chance to eat something. Most of the time, I can get a break pretty much at the end of each of my time points at like Gateway Mall or either at the end of the line sometimes. So I get pretty much enough time to eat and maybe go to the bathroom most of the time.
Let me piggyback a little bit. That's the Route 4 that she drives. He drives multitude of routes. I drive the Route 19. Based on your question, being honest to you, with an honest answer, there's times where we don't even have time to get out the seat. Okay, and that's being truthful. I'm not trying to point fingers at nothing, but you may, at times, depending on the route, you may have just enough time to go to the bathroom. And some customers don't understand that you've been driving for 4.5 hours, that you hadn't had lunch, you hadn't had nothing to eat, and when you get off, it's confusing to the public sometimes when they see that operator just taking a walk. They'll call in and complain about it. But that operator has been out that seat 4 to 5 hours. Now we go back to safety first. Now, being out of that seat for a few minutes is really doing it for you who's driving, and the equipment and the liability for the company. So you're thinking more than just, the driver out there not doing that. We know those calls come in. We already know that. But as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to do the best we can under the conditions that we're faced against. And safety always hits me first because I was a safety guy in the military. I know how important that is. So if I'm battle fatigue, I cannot think. If I'm battle fatigue, I'm not going to function well. If I'm battle fatigue, I'm going to be snappy. And I don't think the company wants that. They want us to be friendly.
I'm just curious how you keep track of, these two drive the same routes all the time. You're bouncing all over everywhere. How do you even know where you are on a route? Or where the route goes, for that matter?
Like I said from the beginning, I love driving. I love the people. I do. And, how can I say, if I'm doing the route 7A, I do the route 7A, certain I can do the whole route 7A for about, let's say, 3 to 4 hours. I come back, and then I come on standby, and then I go back, and then they want me to do the 67. I kind of knew it because I've been doing it so long. And since I've been doing it so long, it makes it easier for me, it makes it better. And just say if I just kept running, just say for about 13 hours, and all of a sudden just say I get someone, just say, had a bad day, I'm having a bad day. I'll stop the bus and I'm like, hi, how you doing? They're like, I don't see nothing good, but. So yes, it is, it's beautiful. I said, you look good. Stop lying to me.
That's funny.
I said, you look good. And then we can ride on down, and all of a sudden, sometime before they get off the bus, they'll come to me and they say, you know what, you was right. It is a good day.
Because we're bus operators, we like to keep on schedule, so we're through. we know that you appreciate these guys just as much as we do, and perhaps we can do this another time down the line so that we can get it done.
I'd like to recognize the voice over there, Mike Laws. I learned a lot from that man. He's a great man. He is good.
Thank you guys, really appreciate that. And last but by no means least, least, we have Cassandra, and you'll see an extra sheet with your packet. This is the most up-to-date sheet. It just didn't make it into the packet of the 2016 Service Planning Initiatives. So that's part of it as she goes through her presentation. Take it away, Cassandra.
Okay, so I'm going to thank the operators once again for coming, because they really are what makes this agency run. In the planning department, we have a lot of things that are going to hopefully help them and riders have a better experience. So, you know, this is it's almost like a to-do list for the department, in that we have a lot of projects that we are looking at new service design, and so over the next few months we're going to bring those to you. We're having some internal workshops right now, and we'll be talking to the operators about some of the changes. We are looking at changing the routes in pretty much throughout the county, only in certain sections we'll be making more dramatic changes than others. So we're looking at all of the data right now about where are people getting on, how are they making their trips. If you ride the 32 or any of the trolleys, you'll see some people out there this week, and I think a little bit of next week, taking surveys of people. And so these are the kinds of things we do in order to make sure that our routes are running right, and that if we need to make changes, that we make those. So one of the things that the operators didn't tell you about, I think there was a question about, do you always get the same route? Well, every 4 months, 3 times a year, the scheduling department looks at the routes. They look for on-time performance. They look at things that might need to be changed. And so that in February, June, and October, we make adjustments to the schedules. And it's those adjustments and how we package up the pieces of work, how the drivers pick what they're going to be driving for the next 4 months. So we are working towards a big service change in October. You know, we had some big changes in South St. Pete and in downtown in February. Now we're going to just clean some things up in June and then have a big service change again in October. So we're looking at some changes in North County. We're looking at some opportunities to better serve the Skyway Marina District down in the south. And all of those things will come to you. I would encourage you to take a look at this list, and if there's something in particular that you want us to get more in depth about, we will. Otherwise, you'll see these as they start to develop. One of the things that we are working real hard on right now is expanding the number of stops we have in downtown St. Petersburg, and that's at the bottom of the list that we have right now. But it is one of our top priorities. So we made the changes in February, and now we're working with the city to add some new stops. So within the next week or so, you should see at least 10 new stops in downtown St. Petersburg, and we have another 20 to 25 that we're working on with the city. And so those kinds of changes will be happening from the planning department and result in operational changes. We are also working on expanding our direct connect. Has anybody taken the Uber or United Cab service in Pinellas Park or in Eastlake yet? It's pretty exciting. If you do have the Uber app and you're in that zone for Pinellas Park, you'll see a little slider and with a qualifying trip to either the Walmart on US 19, our stop there, or the Pinellas Park Transit Center. If your trip begins or ends there, you'll get a discount on the ride. So that we're looking at some ways to expand that. We've been working hard with the City of Clearwater and Clearwater Beach on getting people to and from the beach. We're looking at how our trolley services, the Jolly Trolley, and the ferry service all combine in order to get people from the mainland to the barrier islands and make sure that we can get people over there, but not necessarily their cars, because it's difficult to park. We're also looking at some other ways that we can work with the MPO. So we have our Clearwater Beach to TIA Express that we're working on in combination with what's happening on the beach. And we have, of course, our Central Avenue BRT, which you saw earlier today. I know that there are a lot of things that we're doing. All of these things will come to you through our service redesign. So we're looking at probably May or June that you'll start to see some of these things. Actually, probably April. We'll start to have some public workshops in May, and hopefully have some decisions for what that service change will be in October by June. So a lot of exciting things coming up. Are there any questions or any comments about the service that we're planning, or things that you'd like to see?
Julie, I was wondering, I'm looking at the item about the mobile electronic payment system.
Yes.
Is there a time frame for that?
Within the next 6 months, you will be able to board the bus with a mobile app.
That's great.
So that will be, we'll be doing a pilot program with the regional group that within the 8-county region. So we're still deciding what kind of pass it will be and pricing for that pass. But we're going to just do a little demo of what that would look like. The full implementation of the readers, smart card readers, or mobile app where you can buy all of the passes that we have in our fare policy will probably be in about 2 years or so.
Thank you.
Yes. So, but that flash pass will be 6 months.
Excited about everything? Interesting? Sit down here. Staff will be available to get track feedback on all these initiatives. So if I have a good idea about a stop or, okay, email you, just email, okay, thank you. Email.
Then I can, pitch it to somebody, pitch it to the right person.
Dave?
I'm interested in the DART. I just started DART, and I have been stranded in shopping centers, picked up an hour late today. It's just horrible service. And I don't understand why, I think how many hundreds of cabs a yellow cab has, why they can't get drivers out some areas. I mean, I'm not asking to come at midnight or something like that. I'm asking 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
I would say please, if you guys have direct access to staff, but please send an email to Ross Silvers. Those complaints we get tracked. And we have been seeing a decline in issues with Yellow Cab. We've made some changes to the contract. And I think James, more than me, has been working on how that procurement will change in the next, I think, when is that, we're procuring a new DART vendor.
And sir, I'm happy to speak to you at the conclusion of the meeting, but yeah, absolutely. And not all of DART is, for the most part, it's great service. We do have a 95% on-time pickup. We do have some cab service. We do have some challenges getting cabs out of time, hitting that window. We're addressing that in the next RFP. Really trying to address, multiple late pickups, because it's not fair to you and other people who feel like they're out there stranded. So I'm happy to talk to you though a little bit more after this meeting if you have time. And let's really talk about some of the trips that you're experiencing. I'm very sorry to hear that. But yeah, we'll be looking at the RFP over the next couple of months, and we'll be looking to look at new service and new contractors and have an opportunity to bid on the paratransit service, both ambulatory and non-ambulatory services. So that'll be coming up, and I'm sure we'll get track information as that progresses.
Third person.
The Clearwater Beach Express bus to the airport, is that Tampa International, or is that?
Yes, Tampa International.
Are there any plans to link that up with South County somehow to get to Tampa International? Either to that express bus or
we have a separate service that we're working on, which we've been talking about for a long time, called the 727. And that would be from downtown St. Pete to the West Shore area. And if you haven't seen it in the newspaper, the Florida Department of Transportation is going to build an intermodal center right there along the interstate. And so with that project, plus the West Shore Intermodal Center coming online, that would give us a direct connection to the airport, with the airport people mover, and then coming down into the intermodal center. So that project, we are actually going to start testing some options for shoulder running buses from downtown to the Gateway area, and we're part of a pilot program for the state for that program. So Central Office DOT is looking at a policy about how buses could use the shoulders on state roadways, and so we'll be looking at that direct connection as well. And that may be further in the future as sort of relates to the Tampa Bay Express project, the toll lanes on the bridge, which will come down to Gandia. So those express lanes will start at Gandia and go across to downtown.
David?
Could you elaborate on that shoulder express?
The shoulder running buses. So we'll bring more information about that project to you as it progresses, because really at the early stage, we haven't had the kickoff meeting yet. We just know that we're in the pilot. In a lot of communities, when the traffic gets to a certain level, meaning that it's traveling at lower than 35 miles an hour, so you see the cars and they're running at 20 miles an hour. This would be a program that would allow the buses to get out of that traffic and onto the shoulder and run at 35 miles an hour. So if there's a dead stop, everybody's sitting there, the buses are still going. And so it's in lieu of an exclusive lane, and it would only allow the buses to run on the shoulder. So there's some areas where there might be some constrained areas that we have to talk to the DOT about. Maybe we might have to build the shoulders out a little bit in certain other places, but allowing those buses to use the shoulders, whether it's the inside or the outside shoulder, would allow us to keep on time and not get stuck in the same traffic. And you can see it, especially on Howard Franklin Bridge and things like that, where that exterior is going to put the express lanes. But south of there, where we have areas that experience congestion at certain times of the day or on game days from downtown St. Pete to Camden, that would allow us to keep the standard schedule.
Sandra, have they identified very many areas where there actually are any shoulders to run on?
Yes, that is part of the project, is to look at what kind of build out we could need. And it could require restriping, it could require a change in the inside shoulder or the outside shoulder, but it should be, other than the bridges, it's a pretty minimal expense to improve the shoulders for enough for an occasional bus to use it. Remember, doesn't have to be built to the same standard as an internal traffic.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. I just want to make a couple of closing comments. One that came up during this presentation, especially for those who may be new to the group. This is a particularly open staff to any input you have, any questions you have, any feedback you have. I highly recommend, while they're always happy to take a phone call, it's better to do an email and put it in an email, because that way, I can't tell you how many times I've shot an email to James Bradford, who's the COO, if everybody isn't aware, knowing that James isn't the person that really would ultimately handle it, but because I sent it to him, he could forward that email to exactly the right person to address it. So the emails are a really easy way to talk to the staff here, because they can get it right to whoever should be addressing it, and they do. So it's just, I've never seen anything quite like it, but it's really remarkable. And a lot of it, I think, is due to this gentleman on my right. Yay! Yay! And the gentleman back there in the gorgeous turquoise shirt. The other thing I wanted to mention, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this program that we have set up with the PSTA and the alternate transportation systems, such as Uber and seems I heard at the board meeting, that was the first time that two different transportation systems have really made an attempt to work together that way to provide better service to everybody. And can you maybe speak to that just real quickly? You ended up on the front of some magazine or something talking about it. I thought it was just awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
Is that forward thinking?
Well, thank you, Elaine. So yeah, the Direct Connect program that we have in Pinellas Park, what is unique about it, or first in America about it, is the partnership that we have with Uber, in that where a transit agency has contracted with Uber or Lyft or any of these new transportation network companies like that to provide a discounted subsidy to a coupon to have a first mile, last mile, that's what we call it, connection to the transit. So you're on the Route 19 in Pinellas Park, you can go to the transit center and get an Uber to pick you up, and you get a $3 discount to go off the route anywhere in Pinellas Park from connecting to the 19. And that had not been done before. There's a lot of transit systems that are trying to do it and talking about, advertising Uber, but to have the deal where they're actually providing a discounted trip, that was first. And I just noticed a small city in Orlando, I can't remember the name of it, has just announced they're copying. Uber has the same people at Uber that did our deal told them, and they're going to launch a similar kind of discount thing to connect Uber to the Sunrail commuter rail station in their towns. So, yeah. It is exciting.
It's exciting when we are setting precedents. I mean, that really says something. And I really think that some of that came from this group. I mean, I don't want to take credit for it, but it was a lot of our input and feedback. And again, the staff listening and the board listening. I want to point out, someone who doesn't know, Bill Johnson back here is on the board of the PSTA. He is an avid attendee of these meetings, and he is also always open and interested in hearing any feedback that you have. So, working together, the board, the staff, and this committee working together really is, I think, turning some corners where transportation is.
Well, thank you. Also, just one quick note. We've been having, and I know that some of you have been to them, these rider town halls. We've had three of them so far, and just are trying to schedule 2 more right now, where myself, and I know I've seen Vivian, I think GW, maybe I saw you, I can't remember, and some others. We've been at Clearwater, Park Street Terminal, Pinellas Park Transit Center, and Grand Central, and it's been amazing for me, and I know Chair Johnson has been at a couple of them, and a lot of PSTA staff have, just hearing all different sorts of things, from crazy stories of them taking the bus to go golfing and missing their tee time, so they didn't make the U.S. Open, and they blamed me for that, to, I don't know, to more serious things going on. And we have staff there that are writing down all that information, and we have a whole list growing of different things to try to track down. So it's been great hearing it, getting out into the community and talking to customers and seeing how we can make it better.
Super. Anything else?
I just want to ask Brad, because I was up there at Clearwater, what do you find the main complaint is? Good things and bad things, I'll put it that way.
I've been actually quite pleased that there's been just as many compliments or positive stories as negative. I mean, there's this one man, I will say, this one rider who I met in Grand Central down in St. Pete, and he just had a list of complaints off the cuff. Then he came to Pinellas Park, and he had a piece of paper he had written down. He'd come there on the bus just to note his complaints he had written down. And then by the time he got to Clearwater, he came again. He had a typewritten list that he handed to us. So when we move up north to Countryside Mall, he's going to have a PowerPoint presentation, I'm sure. But other than that, it's been great.
Super. Well, thank you.
Before you go,
Wait. First of all,
If I could, at the town meeting, I was impressed with how many people were so positive about PSTA and so appreciative of the service. Some people had problems, but generally, they were far more appreciative than I expected.
Dave's trip is going to be on time on the way home, thanks to Ross Silver, who has sent an email to the world at Yellow Cab.
Told you they were responsive here.
If you do not get an on-time ride, somebody's in big trouble.
What time is it? 5:30.
This meeting's adjourned. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. The meeting is adjourned. That's funny.
Excellent. Yeah.